Hello, I'm in the polytunnel here at my homestead, and it's changed a lot since the last time I did an update from here. Almost everything to do with summer cropping has gone. There's just the last few tomatoes, which I'm going to pick today, and the chilies, which are right here behind me, which need to come into the house now. What I do with the chilies is I cut them back, like this one here, before they come into the house, and this way they overwinter without getting whitefly and all kinds of bugs. They just go dormant for the winter and then resprout in the spring. Here it's not warm enough to keep them in the polytunnel or the greenhouse over winter time. They'll just die unless it's a really mild winter, so bringing them in is a good precaution. It has been ages since I did a video, and the reason is work. I'm coming towards the deadlines for the book I'm writing. I'm happy to say I've had quite a lot of speaking work, but a lot of that takes me away. So what is one day's work is actually 3 days when you include the travel. And the weather has been horrible most of the time. Even today, when the forecast is beautiful sunshine and blue skies, it just keeps raining. I don't know if you've noticed, but even in the short time that I started this video, it's clouded over again. So the problem with the weather, apart from the fact the garden has not been as productive as it has done in previous summers, is things keep getting damaged, and I'm forever doing kind of clear up. So it's all practical reasons why I haven't actually been able to make a video update from here. The deadline-y stuff and a few other work commitments take me to the middle of November, but then I hope to get into more of a rhythm. Hopefully things will be a lot more peaceful here. At least the weather might start behaving. Oh look, the sun's come out again. So what I thought I'd do is go around with my camera and just talk you through some of the things that's happening here at the homestead. Practically everything has been planted out now for the winter in here. The weather has been, as I mentioned, a bit peculiar, and we've had some really cold weather and also some really warm sunny weather. It sort of seems to be one thing and then another, so quite a few of the plants have got confused, like this spinach here that has bolted, but my ducks will like that, so that's okay. These radish here have gone a bit leggy. I'm going to give them a few more days, see how they get on. The polytunnel asparagus is looking super. I've got the benches in for the winter now. This gives me nice undercover workspace and also places to put things in pots. So what I've done, these are all pots that contained, potted tomatoes and that kind of thing that's been cleared. And I've sown them now with things like spring onions to get extra crops. Here's some salad in a container too. So as well as salad in the ground, I've been filling up the containers and just reusing that compost. The beautiful lemongrass is not winter hardy here in Wales, so this will all get harvested, and then on the other side of these benches here are the potted lemongrass, which will come into my house and overwinter so it can go out next year. I did a course here recently, and I was mentioning some of the things that come into my house for the winter so I can perennialize them, such as these chilies, and one of the attendees was laughing so much, saying, how many windowsills do you have? Because it was getting to be a bit like, yeah, actually there's not going to be any room for us. At the back are the potatoes for Christmas, but they got blight. I've never had Christmas potatoes get blight before, so I'm just keeping an eye on those. I don't think they're going to last till then. We'll just eat them sooner. And this tub here has carrot seeds germinating in it and some more salads. The orchard is looking a little bit shabby. This is because I'm not doing much here at the moment, because I'm going to change around some of the structure here in the orchard. So down beside the polytunnel, I'm going to really widen the path, and all of the apple trees, which are still giving me lots of lovely apples, they all need a really big prune. I wasn't able to do it last year because basically it rained all the time. And look, it's raining again. Oh my goodness. So much for a sunny day. Now this area here, which looks a bit horrible at the moment, this is actually a really sunny part of the orchard. So there's some temporary things where I've been moving some large raised beds that I have, and they're going to go elsewhere on the plot. That was so that I could get my duck house out when my ducks came. I'll show you those in a minute. But this area wasn't done last winter because of the endless rain. So all being well, it'll get done this winter, and this is going to be entirely for growing food with just like a narrow path that I can use. The yacon has been hit by the frost. We actually had quite an early frost, weeks earlier than usual. The yacon will be fine with this, and you harvest that in about early December. The fruit cage is open now for the winter months. This is to allow birds to get in and forage and eat any bugs that they want to. Quite a lot of apples on the floor. Some of them I collect and use, and others I am leaving for the wild things because it's all about balance. Down here I've made 2 new compost bays. One I'm using, the one on the end. This is still empty. And interestingly, at the bottom of the garden where there's this beautiful ivy, I've been noticing lots and lots of wasps still, which is quite late, but they seem happy enough. So I've got more pallets which are going to be used to make a 3rd bay here. The dreaded blackberry. Now we have loads of blackberries in all the hedgerows round here. I do not need a great big hedge in my garden too. This is snuck in from the field next door, and one job later on this autumn is going to be very carefully to cut this back so that if any creatures are in there, I can let them escape and not hurt them. And we've got somebody coming and saying hello. Hello. This is Tum, who is a very vocal cat. Here has Chinese artichokes, Krosny, Jerusalem artichokes, and ochre, and some more yacon. This is what I call my diggy bed, because all of these perennials need digging up to be harvested. There are lots of leaves on the floor. I do rake leaves up off the lawn. This is because I live in wet Wales on a hill, and if I don't rake them up, they get really slippy and I'll fall. And so I use them to make leaf mould, or I mulch some of the perennial beds with the leaves. These are my ducks. These are Welsh harlequins. They're in an enclosure to protect them from the fox. Eventually they'll be allowed out in the garden, but only when there are people here for the same foxy reason. The plan is that they'll recycle slugs into eggs, but at the moment these ducks are freeloaders and they're just taking food and not giving me any eggs, but they're still quite young. Their water, by the way, was all clean this morning. They have made it muddy by jumping around in it and swimming. The back garden beds are very much in transition from summer to winter. Lots of brassicas, so plenty of good eating to come there. Now, I did not cover them this year because we've had in the UK a really big problem with a lack of butterflies. So rather than cover the brassicas, I let the few butterflies that came lay their eggs, and then when they hatched I moved them onto the sacrificial cabbage, which is over here by these sunflowers, which are really, really tall. And the cabbage got completely stripped back. We've had storms here, which is why some of the sunflowers are lying down, and I just thought it would die. but it really was. It was just a complete skeleton. But look, there's a cabbage growing in the middle. Isn't it determined? That's a bolting celery, and here are my parsnips, which I'm keeping in the ground for now. That's very much winter food. Sweet corn has all been picked. I like to leave it standing for a while if I don't need the space, because it just makes such a nice rustling sound. The leeks are very small. They got flattened in a storm, and I'm just not worrying about that. You know, you win some, you lose some. There's going to be leeks at least. These are kalettes, aren't they? Beautiful colour. Some bits are a little bit weedier than I'd like. It's nigh on impossible to hoe because of the wet weather, so I've got quite a bit of hand weeding to do unless it all dries out. A lot of the weeds there, rosebay, willow herb, and I really do not want them getting established. I'm going to be gathering the sunflower heads that I'm going to save seed from because of the moisture levels here. They start to rot if I don't do that. This one is already rotting, so that one's going to go to the wild things. This is my outdoor potting area. There's just a few things here that I'm going to pot on for the winter, all things that can stay outside, and then everything else will get tidied up. I really rather like this time of year when almost all of the sowing and planting has been done. There's still a lot of picking to be done and a lot of preserving. I'm soon going to be planting garlic. I've got hardneck, softneck and elephant garlic, and some goes in the polytunnel and most of it goes in the garden. You can obviously grow all your garlic outside. I do some in the polytunnel for a bigger, earlier harvest, and it doesn't get rust. So that's a pretty good bonus, and it can just be interplanted amongst everything else that's in there. My cat is heckling me. What's the matter with you? And I'm also coming up soon will be time to plant the seeds for the broad beans. Now I do almost all of those in modules because we have so many rodents here. It gives them a better start. They're less likely to get nibbled. And I'm doing those towards the end of the month and early November so they don't get too big before winter time because it's windy here, and if they get too big the weather just batters them and they don't grow as well. And a few more things to sow, including just some direct sown kale in the polytunnel. This will be for a much later crop. And it's not just for us, it's also for the ducks who really like lots of green leaves to eat. They're particularly fond of brassicas. And things like forage peas, field beans for green manures, which will go in quite a lot of the gaps. So lots still to do, but it is nice that it's not quite the same frantic sowing that there is throughout spring and summer. I'm going to harvest those tomatoes now and bring them inside, and then put the rest of the tomato plant in the compost heap, and then it's back to the desk. It's going to be very busy for the next few weeks, but it's all exciting work and it will be well worth it when it's finished. And I'm so glad that there's quite a few lovely gardening jobs as well to do, so I can come out and get a break from computers for a couple of hours every day.